If you guys follow along, you know that I made a promise to myself to follow my dream, to drive as much as I can, because what got me into all of this was the love for driving. So last year, I got my competition racing license, and I've been racing as much as possible. My good friend Halston Pitman has been endurance racing for quite a long time. He has a Mini Cooper that he has raced for many years, and he's always asked me to come join him, but I've always told him, oh, I'm too busy, or I just don't feel up for it, or whatever. There's always some excuse. But this time I reached out to him and I asked him if there were any races coming up where I could potentially join for a seat. He told me that they're doing the first race of the Champ Car Endurance Series, which happened to take place in Road Atlanta, in Braselton, Georgia. It's a track that I've been going to for pretty much my entire shooting career. We've shot Formula Drift there, we've shot Time Attack, and of course we've shot a lot of grid life there. So I've been on the track, and I've done rolling shots, and I've been pretty much to every single corner, inside and outside, but I've never actually raced there. Previous to this, I've only done one endurance race, and that was many years ago with RWB and Nakai-san, my good buddy Dino, and we did this in Japan at Twin Ring Motegi in a bunch of Porsches. We raced a 964 RWB car, and it was incredible. It was so much fun. We didn't qualify or anything, but we started pretty much in the back of the pack. It was, I think, over 90 cars, and we worked our way up to mid-pack. That was a 12-hour race, and once I got a taste of that, I knew I was hooked with wheel-to-wheel racing. And I told myself, if I had a chance to race again, I would do a lot more endurance racing. First thing, I fly in on Thursday to spend all day Friday prepping myself with the team, with the car, familiarizing myself with Road Atlanta since it was my first time driving it. First time laying eyes on the car, I didn't really know what to expect. I've driven quite a few front-wheel drive cars before, but I've never had a chance to drive this generation Mini Cooper. This one was pretty much all stock except for all the safety things that they have to do for racing. It made about 180 horsepower, which translated to maybe 150s and some change to the wheels. I've driven quite a few front-wheel drive cars before, but I've never driven anything like this, and I didn't know what to expect. I looked at it, and it looked pretty much like a stock car with just a roll cage and some safety stuff. I did a couple laps, and there was just so much information to take on. The fact that it was my first time driving Road Atlanta, and it was also my first time driving this vehicle that actually had quite a bit of torque steer. And the thing that really blew me away, and the thing that I had to get used to pretty much the entire weekend, was the fact that it would pretty much like hunt all over the road, or it would just not keep straight for the life of me. I tried my absolute best to hold that steering wheel straight, but because of the setup and because they wanted it to turn in better, the rear was just towed out a little bit, and also the front. So it was constantly dancing back and forth, right and left, even just going arrow straight down the back straight, going downhill into that crazy braking zone. It was just so hair-raising just to try to keep that thing on the road. Everywhere else, it felt so good. It had amazing turn-in. The brakes were second to none. It felt like it had a lot of grip, but it was just the straightaways that I was really struggling with, and it was something that I just had to get used to. Come race day, we went to the driver's meeting. I had a chance to see so many of the other competitors face to face. There were 66 cars entered, so it was quite a packed field, which means pretty much every single corner or every other corner you would run into another competitor. And there were plenty of times when we were racing when it was just such a huge pack, so much traffic. And that's what makes endurance racing fun. The fact that even though you're driving the same track for 14 hours, the track itself is actually different because of the people that are around it. You have to watch out for slower traffic or faster traffic. So you're constantly on the go, on the move, most of the time running off race line. Got all suited up, met up with all the teammates, everyone else on pit lane, and got ready to start the race. Our buddy Les Epps started the race because he's pretty much the most experienced out of the group. He is always driving other people's cars, and he is basically our hot shoe. So we wanted to make sure that he had a good start and he would work his way up the field with his double stint. The Champ Car Endurance Series is a great way for anyone to get into racing, whether you have a lot of experience or if you're just somebody that has been doing HPD events or autocross for many years and you want to take the extra step into wheel-to-wheel racing. Technically, you don't need a competition license to race at one of these events. But of course, it helps because the more experience you have, the more likely you'll come away with a better experience. This also means that you can avoid incidents. You can also drive as safe as possible. But this also means that they do take a couple safety precautions. So they don't have a side-by-side grid when they're starting the race. They just start the race nose to tail, which allows for the competitors to kind of spread out more, and there's less of a chance of an incident at turn one or even just the first lap of the race. That's when major incidents most of the time happen, when you're starting that many cars at the same time. So Les had an incredible start and he immediately started working his way up the field. The Mini Cooper was not the fastest in class, but the advantage we had was to drive until the gas tank was pretty much empty. The goal was to keep the car out of the pits as much as possible and maximize our driving time. So even if so many of the cars were faster on track and they turned faster laps, we could just stay out there and keep churning laps and keep churning laps. While people are pitting, we're still out there churning laps. Second in was my buddy Halston, and I'm very proud of the fact that he's also a photographer. He's a racing photographer. He just shoots racing all over, and he follows many different racing series. And of course, his true passion is driving fast cars, driving on the racetrack, and he also has this really nice R33 GTR. He owns the car along with one of our other teammates, Justin Lipson. After 4 hours of driving and 2 full 2-hour stints, it was my turn to get in. I was a little bit nervous. I was mostly just focused on bringing the car home because the last thing I want to do is destroy the car, get in an incident. It being a 14-hour race, I don't want to be the cause of a wreck or anything like that. So I tried my absolute best as soon as I got in the car to stay out of trouble, hit my marks, and try to drive cleaner and cleaner and cleaner laps. This was the first time I had somebody in my ear giving me notes. We had our buddy Rich Sonato out, who is also a car photographer, but he's also into racing and racing strategy. So he was the one who did all of our pit strategy. He was the one who made all of the big calls. And he was also the one in my ear telling me if I need to change my driving style. The guys had a lot of notes for me to drive smoother, save the tires, and also to stay off the curbs. I get a little greedy with that curb hopping, but they just wanted to make sure we save the car as much as we can. It's a very long race with a lot of hard miles on this poor Mini Cooper. So we just wanted to be as careful as possible. It was interesting because it really was my first time listening to race strategy or talking I'm not that much of a talkative person on the radio. If I need to tell the guys something, I would relay information if there was some sort of incident or if there's something going on with the car. The first stint went really well. We had a couple of yellow flags. I think I had one red flag incident as well as a purple 35, which is something that I've never experienced when I'm racing. Purple 35 is when the race control activates this signal to tell everyone to just stay in place, but go 35 miles per hour. So technically, if everybody slows down from race speed to 35 miles per hour and they just keep going, no positions should be changed. This way, they still get the cars to move and still stay warm and still continue the race without having to red flag it. But they're able to tow cars out, they're able to get to incidents or fix the track or whatever they need to do, clean up spills, anything that the officials need to do. If the cars are all going around at 35 miles per hour, they pretty much can avoid whatever incident. And as soon as the obstacle or whatever is happening is clear, they just flip that switch off and then everybody just goes back to race speed and then no positions have been changed. That doesn't mean that you can't get closer to the racer in front of you, because potentially if the person in front of you was going 34 miles per hour or 33 instead of right at the limit of 35, then you can kind of inch your way up, especially because you don't have to follow the racing line when you're going 35 miles per hour. You can just hug the corner and cut the track as much as you can. But of course, the risk is that you'll run into the marbles and you'll pick up a lot of tire. So that way you won't have as much grip when you start the race again. I got out of the car and I was ecstatic. It was such a good time and I was completely hooked. I was just so happy to be able to experience this kind of racing. I did a 1 hour, 45-minute stint and man, I gave it all she's got. Like, I tried my absolute best to help the team and not lose too many places. Halston jumped back in for a double stint and we did all of our part to help him get in. The thing is, every one of these stops is timed just so there's less incidents, so that way they can make sure there's not a fire or there's not any big rushing, not putting on seatbelts or whatever. That way we can all take our time and make sure everything's good, wipe the windows, all of that before we go back out on track. So I love that rule. I think that's really good for amateur endurance racing. While Halston was out there pushing super hard, I met up with our buddy Walter, who is a photo and videographer, and he took me around the track to shoot photos and video of our car. This was the second time that I shot the race that I was actually racing in, because for the RWB race in Japan, I did the very same thing in my race suit, and it was just so much fun to be able to jump out of the car after driving a stint, going trackside, getting shots of that car, and then jumping back into the car later. Halston gets in, they do a driver change, I'm out shooting still. I come back to get ready for my next stint, which is the sunset to night stint. Because I was a guest driver, the guys figured I would appreciate this stint because it is the most beautiful stint. Lower light, very challenging conditions because the sun is just going directly into the windshield at a couple corners. And it was extra challenging for us because there were quite a few incidents and there were quite a few cars that I was following that was spitting a lot of fuel and a lot of oil. So the entire front windshield was caked with this film. And every time I went into turn 1, 2, 3 area, I barely could see anything at all. It was very difficult, but I was having the time of my life, just pushing so hard, racing with my fellow competitors. Out of the whole race, there weren't really any major incidents at all. I did get hit from behind one time, but that's about it. And that was, I guess, due to some mechanical. There was no damage, there was no other incidents, and everybody was so great to race with. It was a lot of close racing and it was a lot of fun racing, but it wasn't banging doors or anything like that. It was just good, clean, fun racing. We ended up just going through an entire set of tires. I cannot believe how good the Mini Cooper was on tires. And we only wore the fronts down. The rears looked brand new still. But as time went on and as my stint went on, I could tell that it was wearing more and more and it was harder to keep traction. I could not believe how long of a green flag period I had. I think I had almost over an hour of just pure racing and just me pushing this car as hard as I possibly could every single lap, lap in and lap out, passing people out of class, slower cars, getting passed by people in our class as well as faster cars. I just really tried my best to have absolute focus. In the end of the day, Les got in and we worked our way up from midfield all the way up to third place. Now, first and second place had some incredible cars, and we really were trying our best to get second or first, but those cars were just way too fast and they had a really good strategy, so there was just no way for us to keep up. But I was just super excited to have this experience behind the wheel of this Mini Cooper, and I urge you folks, if you really, really want to get into wheel-to-wheel racing, the Champ Car Endurance Racing Series is something to look into. They have stops at so many historic racetracks that we absolutely love so much and that I've shot at for so many years, but I've just never had a chance to race. So just wanted to give a huge shout out to my friends again, Halston Pitman, Justin Lipson, Les Epps, Rich Senato. I also wanted to thank our buddy Jacob Fuller for coming, for helping us in the pit lane with fuel and just in and out of the pits. It was such a great help. Also wanted to thank Walter and Chuck, our photo guy. Halston put it the best way. He said other people have been hiring him his entire life to photograph their racing efforts. He wanted to return the favor in turn and hire somebody local to photograph us while we're racing. So Chuck shot most of the photos that you saw on screen. Thank you guys again for watching. I know this is a little not traditional compared to my normal content, but I also wanted to let you folks know what I'm up to, especially behind the wheel.